In this video, we will review area and circumference of a circle and introduce arc length and area of a sector. Circumference. Circumference of a circle is the perimeter or distance around a circle. Circumference, so circum means to go around. This is a one-dimensional measurement. Now there are two ways you can write the formula. Circumference is pi times diameter, or circumference is 2 pi r. In this example here, let's determine the circumference. Okay, you must show 4 steps. First step, write down the formula that you will use. So in this case, because we're given the diameter, we're going to write c equals pi times d. We call that our justify step. Next, substitute 10 in for the diameter. Okay, simplify it. So c equals 10 pi inches, and then approximate it using your calculator. So c is approximately 31.42 inches. Now a lot of calculators have pi nearby, so for example on this TI-30, pi is right here on the side. So you would just type in 10, and then pi, and then hit enter, and then it will approximate the answer for you. Okay. I believe Casio has that as well, and here on this TI-30, pi is right here. If you type in 10 pi, it may give it to you exactly, so make sure you hit the approximate button. Okay, that was circumference. Area. Area of a circle is the region inside the circle. It's a two-dimensional measurement, so we're going to answer our put our answer in terms of square units. The formula, area is pi r squared. Just like in the previous example, show 4 steps. First step is justify. That is, write down the area formula in general. Substitute the radius in there. So area is pi times 9 squared. Third step, rewrite it as 81 pi, and then we have meters squared. Lastly, approximate your answer. So the area is approximately 254.47 meters squared. Some students have asked me, do I have to label meters squared by both the exact and the approximate? The answer is no. You've seen in the class that we usually just finally label the units at the end of the problem, or just do both. Okay, arc length. Arc length, or distance from one end to the other, is, so that's the length of the arc. It's a portion of the circumference. So the formula is arc length equals the arc measure divided by 360 degrees times the circumference. I think the visual will help us visualize this. So we have right here in this picture, how long is arc AB? Now remember that an arc can also be measured in terms of degrees. So using that the central angle equals the arc measure, this arc is 160 degrees. But it also has a length. If you were a tiny little ant walking along the circle here, how far did you walk? Okay, so that's a piece of the circumference. And that's what this formula shows. It's some portion of the circumference, so some fractional piece of the circumference. Just like in the previous examples, you're going to show this in 4 steps. First step is to write down the formula. I call that the justify step. So the arc length is the measure of the arc divided by 360 times 2 pi r. And I hope you've realized here, arc length and the measure of the arc are not the same thing. Measure of the arc is in degrees. Arc length is literally how far, how long of a distance have you walked. Okay, next step is to substitute. Substitute the 160 and the 15 into your formula, but showing me this, not simplifying whatsoever. Next step, I kind of simplify and get the exact answer all at once. So we got 40 pi divided by 3, and then units. And the approximate answer, our 4th and final step, the arc length is about 41.89 units. Now, you might be like, Mr. Roeder, how the heck did you simplify a fraction and get the exact answer that cleaned up? Well, here's how you can use your calculator. Suppose you have this calculator. what you want to do is type in all of the numbers from the substitute step, but don't put pi, because I'm going to show you how to type in all those numbers and then get an approximate answer and go back to a fraction. So I'm going to type in 160 divided by 360, and then 2 times 15 is 30. Okay, and so it gives me a number that goes forever and ever. So right here it says F to D on the calculator, so hit second in that. It gives you the answer as a mixed number 13 and 1/3. To change that to an improper fraction, right here where it says like kind of some fraction buttons, you select that, and now it's changed it to 40/3. Now notice how I've ignored pi the entire time. If I typed in 160 divided by 360 times 30 and then pi, it'll give me the approximate answer. But if I want to go back and get the exact answer, if I repeat my steps to get that fraction, the calculator won't do it because I've multiplied through an irrational number, and an irrational number can't be written as a fraction. So simplify all the numbers, multiply them together or divide, ignore the pi, and then put the pi at the very end. Now some calculators, you can use the fraction button right away. On this calculator, on the TI-30XS, right here is the fraction button, and I'll just type in 160 divided by 360 times 30, and it gives me the improper fraction right away. And Casio's will do the same thing. Okay. Last idea. Sector. The area of a sector. So the sector, or a piece of a circle, is formed by the two radii of a central angle and the arc between the endpoints of the circle. So the formula, area sector is equal to the measure of the arc divided by 360 times the area of a circle. So what portion, what fractional part of the circle do we have? So in this example here, I want an 80-degree portion of 360 degrees of this circle. So the measure of the arc, that's what I'm abbreviating, measure of arc, M arc, divided by 360 times the circle formula for area. So, by the way, just notation, that's a big A with a subscript sector. So what I'm saying is the area of this sector, just kind of a shorter way of me writing it. If you just wrote A equals, that's totally fine, saying that the area equals. Okay, so first step is to justify by writing the actual formula. Second step is our substitute step, substituting the numbers in. Our central angle is 80, our radius is 4. Next step is to, and you can combine it, simplify and get the exact answer using the calculator buttons that I've shown. Okay, so for example, on the problem here, how to get 32 over 9, I will use the fraction button. I'm going to type in 80 divided by 360 times 16. There's 32 over 9, but I'm ignoring the pi. Okay, because if I put pi in the calculator, it won't simplify it and go back to a fraction. And then finally, our last answer, our approximate answer, is 11.17 square feet. So in all 4 of these problems, make sure you show me 4 steps. The formula, the substitute step, give me an exact answer, and then approximate answer and making sure that you label your units.